welcome to episode 25 of the MMG podcast. I am Chris, and I am joined once again by my good friend Gocubs and I.
You are now manually breathing.
How dare you? Especially when I have a cold, I'm having trouble breathing anyway. How dare you?
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's alright. So, how is everyone doing today? We got quite the pod to go through. I'm going to try to keep the energy level up. I am sick. I'm still dealing with this illness that I was talking about earlier this week. But I wanted to, and plus this is going out a little bit earlier than I expected. I'm going to have this up on Wednesday, so that way Minecraft Story Mode goes through 3 straight days. Because yes, I am recording
Oh shit!
that. I am recording that tomorrow. Guess what, Gocubs? I did not realize it. I had I've been waiting to do episode 4, and they came out already with episode 5. So the whole season is done.
God.
So I have to go through all of it, and I
need to finish watching episode 3. I think maybe even episode 2.
I can't. I don't even know what to say about the series anymore. But hey, it's been a while. We'll go into it with an open mind. Probably not.
I mean,
Anyways,
it's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Really bad.
Anyways, welcome to our wild card preview show. Is as if we are a year ago at this time. Gocubs joined on our NFL pick'em, and we is this your third year doing these NFL wildcard picks with me, or is this your second year doing it?
It's definitely at least the second. I can't remember if I did one.
Yeah,
the prior year.
Because this is the first year, obviously, that we've done this throughout
the whole season. Yeah.
And I definitely enjoyed doing it, and it definitely it changed my formula up a little bit, but it also has made it a little bit less work, because I used to have the whole slideshow going, and now it's just we get to focus on the keeping the screen up and just talking.
Two dudes. Just two dudes talking about football.
Yeah, what else do you expect? So in this episode, before we get into the actual wild card weekend and all its matchups, we have to talk about. We're going to talk about Week 17, but we'll kind of do it individually for each team, because we're going to recap the 20 teams that did not make the playoffs. We'll talk about what they have to expect going into the off season. If they had to fire their coach or fire their GM or whatever. And yeah, we'll just kind of go into it. We'll see, what does the future hold. A lot of questions this offseason that will be needed answers to. We'll then go in depth with the 4 wild card matchups that are happening this weekend. Which, by the way, was not expecting this. After they changed the time last year for the divisional round game between the Chiefs and Steelers to 8 p.m. I was expecting them to make that a permanent thing, that we'll never have a 1 o'clock playoff game. Never mind. This year we got 1 p.m. Playoff game this wildcard weekend and the divisional weekend, so very happy about that. I love the afternoon wildcard games. It makes it a lot more fun. But regardless of that, we'll go through all that, and then we'll also give our Super Bowl picks as well. An updated version. I think we could say confidently that they won't be obvious. Like I don't want to pick obvious teams.
Yeah,
it's because it's not fun that way. It's
not.
Let's throw a wild card Super Bowl pick in there, and let's see what happens. But regardless, let's get into our season recap for the teams that'll be sitting at home eating some Cheetos at home, and we'll start with the.
Kind of want some Cheetos now.
Yeah, sorry. We'll start with the 0-16 Cleveland Browns, who lost their last game of the year on a catch that they couldn't make, that Corey Coleman could not make, and ended up having the reverse perfect season, essentially, the Cleveland Browns did. And the answer that they had for that was, we're going to just stick the course and
Keep our head coach, who has only won one game in the 2 years he's here.
and it really just sums up the fact that like I've kind of said, I feel bad for the players and I feel bad for the fans, but I just do not feel bad for the organization as a whole. They have
Nope.
The owner has completely just he's like, oh, I'm gonna stick with Hugh Jackson, even though like he has the worst coaching record ever. Essentially, like there's never been a
Yeah.
coach that has one win in 2 years after 2 seasons. Like, come on, you have to have a change. The one thing that they're going to do, that John Dorsey, the general manager, is going to do to start things off, is find an offensive coordinator. And great, that's fine. That does not mean that keeping Hugh Jackson in there is good. And it doesn't sound like the players want it either. Myles Garrett, the number one overall pick last year, who had a great season, but just was on a bad team, he said, like, I'm just a defensive player, so if he just remains my head coach, that's whatever. But you want your players to really defend you. It would be like, yeah, I want that guy, leading the charge. Not like, oh, I just play defense and I just, whatever. No. I don't get it. I am really confused.
It's breeding an attitude of failure and complacence.
Well, exactly. I think that's a great word for it. Absolute complacency on the part of the Browns. I don't know what Jimmy Haslam is doing. He's just the owner is just he's just totally fine with everything that happened. It's just like, oh, I want to stick the course with all this. It's as if he's trying to stay consistent. You fired your general manager mid-season. Give me a break. What, if you're going to if you really want to stay the course with people, then you should not have fired the general manager to get John Dorsey in there. I mean, hopefully they're on the same page, but to be strong, it sounds like John Dorsey got like strong armed into keeping Hugh Jackson, and it's just not fair, and it's not fair to the Browns or it's not fair to the players. It's not fair to the fans, and it's a mess. I don't know what they're gonna do this offseason. Number one overall pick though, and
number 4 overall pick.
Yeah, they got that from Houston in the Deshaun Watson trade. Oh, what could have been, Cleveland? What could have been? We'll see. We'll see if they finally get. Go ahead.
I'm gonna give one more note about the Browns.
Yeah.
In the 2 seasons that Hugh Jackson has been the head coach, they've had 31 losses. 3-1. Cleveland Indians blew a 3-1 loss in the 2016 World Series.
And what about Ohio State?
And Ohio State lost 31-0 in the Fiesta Bowl
last
year. And if you take Ohio State's points plus USC's points from their bowl game this year, it adds up to 31.
Yeah. Yeah, that's rough. Wait, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they were the beneficiaries of a 3-1 deficit.
Yes,
right?
they were the beneficiaries of a 3-1.
Okay. Yeah, just making sure, because I would have been like, hey, Cleveland Cavaliers. But no, they're fine. Cleveland Cavaliers are like the side team that does really well in Cleveland, and everyone else around it just sucks.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So yeah, Cleveland, I'm sorry. But yeah, I think that they could go 0-16 twice. I said that on Twitter, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope to see them win one game or two. But it really feels like
now that they've hit 0-16, I don't care what the fuck happens to them. I wanted them to go 0-16 this year. Like, not even joking. Like, I wanted this.
Yeah.
And
now they've reached the rock bottom of rock bottoms.
They've reached the rock bottom. This needs to be the wake-up call.
Yeah.
And they need to realize that like having high draft picks is not the only important thing for winning football games.
And I think about the Lions, 2008, when they went 0-16. I mean, 9 years later, I mean, what have they really done? I mean, they've got. We'll talk about that actually a little bit later, but they have Matthew Stafford, but they have not made. They've made the playoffs, but never won a playoff game in that time. So I feel like if Cleveland can turn this around where they are right now sooner than the Lions, I mean, I think that would be a great success story. But it's just I don't see that happening with the current, at least with the current
Nope.
head coach. I
Nope.
I have respect for John Dorsey. I hope that he could turn it around, but it's just right now it's a mess.
John Dorsey is a brave man for taking that job.
We're with you. We're with you, John. We will support you. Hashtag support John Dorsey. Anyways, let's move on to maybe a little bit more toxic of a franchise than the Browns right now. That's the Giants, who finish out the season with a nice win over the Redskins, but they enter. They have 3-13 record. They have the second overall pick, and they just got Dave Gettleman as their general manager, which was I I don't know how to feel about it. I think I'm excited about it in the sense that he has had success with the Panthers, and what he helped with the Panthers in that 2015 season was great. But there were some things that he never really filled the holes on with the Panthers, and he gets a lot of flack for drafting only defensive linemen for the most part.
Yeah.
Even though like it's not really necessary, and I get it. He's a guy that likes he's a guy that's been part of the Giants organization before, and they really trust him, and they have built their success from from within, from using the people within their organization, and that's fine. I really would have loved an outsider in this situation, like Louis Riddick. I would also have been fine with Kevin Abrams, who I know has been working with the Giants organization, but I just felt like you wanted someone maybe new and a fresh face in that general manager position, not someone has been in there. It was a predictable hire, and I'm okay with it as long as it delivers results. I mean, at the end of the day, that's all I care about. But really a mess of a season, and a really unexpected mess of a season. Could have seen this team go 8-8, went 3-13, and it just depresses me. It depresses me as a fan, as someone who has rooted for the Giants. And
But Chris, all I'm gonna say is that you fired your head coach. The season you won 3-13, not the season after you won 3-13.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So I feel your shame and your heartache, but you are starting the rebuilding process earlier than we did.
No, oh for sure. No, I also fully acknowledge that the Giants have recently won a Super Bowl. They won it in 2011. I acknowledge that the Giants just were in the playoffs and then got their ass kicked by Aaron Rodgers. But
Yeah.
My heartbreak is just in the fact that it was such a mess of a season. That it was so like
I totally get that.
Totally would have expected something like this from the Jets, but the Jets were like the team that had their shit together. Like even though they were 5-11, they were together as a team fighting in every single game, and they won more games than anyone would have expected out of them. The Giants just demolishing of like I don't know any semblance of sanity in that locker room. I mean, it sucked with the injuries. OBJ going down, Brandon Marshall going down. All those guys, and then you had the cornerbacks Jenkins, Roger Cromartie, and then Apple all getting suspended for various different reasons. I think Ben McAdoo did a really poor job. I'm glad that he got fired. I still will argue that the benching of Eli Manning made sense, but just the timing didn't make much sense. And to me, that was a little frustrating when that happened. I think it's good to get a look at new guys. I wish if they were to bench him, I wish they went to Davis Webb and not Geno Smith. We know what Geno Smith can do. He did not do good against the Raiders. Don't understand that. So I'm glad that he's gone, and we'll see what kind of head coach we get. There's rumors about Josh McDaniels potentially being a guy, Steve Wilkes potentially being a guy. I don't know. But we'll follow it. We'll keep track of it. We'll see if it's worth it at this point. But I think, like you said, Go Cubs. I think that what the Giants have is they do have a foundation right now. They have a defense that did really well last year. A lot of those guys are still on the roster. I don't know how much that's gonna be purged. It might be, but I think that you still have guys like JPP who had a great season. He's still going strong. Landon Collins is a Pro Bowler. I think you could keep those guys on the team. The future of Eli Manning, I don't know. I don't know where he's at. I hope that we draft a quarterback early. But I don't know if he stays, it should be in a way of being a mentor role, or at least starting like those 16 games and just having the guy sit on the bench for a little while.
Right.
That we draft. But if not, I would be interested in seeing him in Jacksonville or in Washington if Kirk Cousins leaves, or wherever, or Arizona Cardinals, because they are going to need a quarterback. So you got a lot of places where Eli could go, and that could be interesting. One last note on the Giants: the Odell Beckham. It has, for some reason, from one of the media members, Albert Breer, part of the MMQB, has constantly been the guy to blame for the way the season went, even though he was injured. I didn't really understand that. I do hope, though, with Dave Gettleman getting in there, not that Odell Beckham can't just mature on his own, but I would like just them to talk to him a little bit and just kind of like get him to calm down a bit. I understand that he's passionate about the game, but he's at the same time he gets us in trouble with like the penalties and stuff, and that I would hope stops, and I hope that he can control his emotions a little bit better during the games. That would be my biggest pet peeve with Odell, but he's the best player on that team, and we need him. I hope they don't get rid of him, because I think that is a potential thing that could happen. That would suck. But I hope not. Indianapolis Colts went 4-12 without Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck, who knows if he'll be healthy next year. The guy is a ghost, and he does not exist at this point. Like, he has not shown up.
The Colts were so sure that he was going to play this year, and he didn't.
He didn't. They were
like, oh, he's going to play. He's going to play.
And I think that's kind of...
Jacoby Brissett's doing the best he can. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, Jacoby Brissett had a pretty decent year. Didn't play that great, but definitely this Colts team, missed Luck and missed a lot of guys. Well, I mean, they didn't really lose too many guys outside of Luck, but I think that the way that Pagano handled the Luck situation was kind of poor, and I think that's part of the reason why he ended up getting fired. So Chuck Pagano is now out the door. He's now also so the Colts are also head coachless. My question would be, would a head coach want to go there? Someone that's like a quarter who wants to work with Luck, not knowing if Luck would be healthy for 2018.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Because at this point, who freaking knows? We were so certain that he was going to be back, and it's just right now it's not. I don't know. I hope so. I mean, it would really be a shame that the guy that many people felt like was one of the best quarterbacks, even last year when he played a good amount of the season, to see him go down and maybe go down for the rest of his career would just be a real shame for the Colts, who thought that would be a successor to Peyton Manning.
Yeah, that's how good Andrew Luck was. They got rid of Peyton Manning for him.
Right. Exactly. And I really hope that he gets healthy. That would because I feel like it would just be more fun. The AFC South has increasingly gotten more fun in the last year.
Yeah.
We need Luck in there. Luck would make that division a lot more fun to watch and make it really exciting, along with Mariota, Bortles, and Watson. Not in that order.
The AFC South has the potential to be the most interesting division in football, but it's not. It's just not.
Yeah,
because of all the injuries and underperforming and
Yeah,
a bunch of other
we'll
things.
talk about that especially with the we'll actually talk about that next with the Texans. Um,
Hmm.
Actually, you know what? Let's talk about the Texans now because I really don't have much to say about the Colts right now. I think that they just need to have a good draft and we'll see what the head coaching situation for them is. But let's go to
Mm.
Texans because I think the Texans are the last team that, as of this filming of the video, that we don't really know the future of Bill O'Brien. I'm almost certain at this point that he's sticking around because
Yeah,
they got Rick Smith. He had to step down because his wife is dealing with I believe breast cancer. But he is, when he does end up returning, he's going to go to a VP role, so he's not going to be as involved with Bill O'Brien anymore, and that was supposedly like a toxic relationship and all that. So they're going to hire a new GM. But as far as I'm concerned, he's going to be safe, barring something crazy happening.
mm,
The big thing I would say for the Texans right now is that they have a lot of great players, and that they can contend. I think they need more protection for Watson. I think they need to focus on
right.
offensive line.
Look,
Um,
I'm looking at the scores that the Texans had in the games that Watson started. They scored 13 points, which was the first one, but then 33, 57, 42, 33, and 38 points.
mm-hmm.
That is incredible.
Yeah, that's amazing considering where the Texans were prior to Watson. And
Uh,
one of the most confusing things about Bill O'Brien is how he kind of insisted on starting Savage, and then week one, after halftime, Watson comes in, does okay, can't save the blowout against the Jaguars, but then Watson ends up becoming one of the best or the best rookie quarterback this year, and
yeah.
it's just like it happened the same thing last year or 2 years ago. With that, when he started someone and then at halftime changed it, and then he ended up rolling with that person. It was just, so he's always weird with that kind of stuff. But that team is going to do so well once Watt's healthy. Hopefully, he can be back to his dominance form. Whitney Merciless, they've really missed as well. He's a very underrated player on the defense. He'll be back when
Also
Watts.
an Illinois alum.
Yeah, Watson is going to be the really wild card. I really, really hope he'll be back. And look, he has recovered well from an ACL before, so it's not like he hasn't been through it before. I hope
Mm,
he comes back. I hope he comes back strong, and
me too.
it's going to be one hell of a team.
That's
Um,
what they need.
yeah, they need it, and so, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of overturn with the Texans. I know that I think they've gotten rid of a few assistant coaches thus far since Black Monday.
Yeah.
Nothing else certain though. But I think they need to keep Bill O'Brien and they need to keep that foundation going. I think that they'll contend in 2018, and it'll be a nice battle between them, the Titans, Jaguars, and maybe the Colts if luck comes back.
Mm,
Next we'll do the Broncos, who have fallen from grace. Really,
yeah.
they are a team that is a shell of their former selves. Kind of, they had the defense wasn't really like dominant this year. It was okay, it was pretty good, but not their same selves.
Look, even last year, like with Simeon and Lynch's first year, like they were still playoff contenders
Mm-hmm.
up until
Absolutely,
the last week. Like they almost made the playoffs
yeah,
last season. And now they're just bad.
yeah. It really was, and like Simeon, many people defended Simeon because they felt like he showed a lot in that 2016 season that that he could be a capable starting quarterback, but this season kind of proved that he wasn't, and that he wasn't all there, and they had
Mm,
to have Brock Osweiler, who, what a weird reunion that was.
yeah,
Him coming back and starting a few games, but he wasn't. He had a really solid game a few weeks ago against the Colts, but from there it wasn't really anything special. Paxton Lynch is still, it kind of reminds me of like of luck, where it's like you see this guy come in. Well, not necessarily luck in terms of like, the talent, but in the sense that like he exists. But do we know if he's going to be able to start at any point anymore.
Right.
And it's not, and this one's not injury related. It's just the fact that we don't know who Lynch is as a quarterback, and I feel like the Broncos are ready to admit that they made a mistake by drafting him in the first round, because they said, in a press conference today that Elway was like, what our top priority is going to be at quarterback and getting that quarterback situation figured out. So I'm like, are they going to draft a new quarterback, or are they going to try to find a veteran that they can work with to maybe groom Lynch? Like, what's going to happen? But Paxton Lynch, who is supposed to be the future for this team, has been a third string, second string quarterback for the last 2 years, and the times that he's gone on the field, he hasn't really been that impressive. And it's like, well, okay, so what are we doing here? That's the big question. Offensive line's a big issue as well. But one thing that's for certain, wide receivers might be in question too. Like, we don't know if Demaryius Thomas is going to come back and all that, but C.J. Anderson had a really underrated year. He had 1,000-yard season again. He's done pretty well. So, the talent's there on defense. The talent's there with the running game. You just got to build a little bit more weapons around the quarterback, and of course need to find one. So that's that. Jets. They're going to keep Todd Bowles. Oh, and by the way, with the Broncos, Vance Joseph is going to be back. There was some question about that. He will be back, and I think that's a good decision. Don't want to fire a first-year head coach. Todd Bowles is back as well. I agree with this extension because I think that he did a really good job in a shitty situation. And I think it's fair that he gets another shot, but his contract extension probably means that the Jets have to make the playoffs next year. Otherwise, it's no go. And hey, the Dolphins made it last year. The Bills made it this year. Jets. Maybe the Jets could be that team next year. Who knows?
Yep.
But this is a team with young talent. The secondary has a lot of great guys. Larry Williams is great on the defensive line, and that's a great future there. Wide receivers were a surprise. Quincy Enunwa was injured, but he had a lot of talent going when he played in 2016. Rodney Anderson, Jermaine Kearse has been excellent as well. Tight end, Austin Seferian-Jenkins, he had a pretty nice season as well. So, and then of course,
for a team built to lose football games, they didn't lose that many football games.
Yeah, 11's a lot, but
well, yeah,
they were close though. They were close to a lot of those games, and a lot of the reason for that was Josh McCown. He had another fantastic year, a guy that has proven himself as being a vested veteran who can play relatively well. He was third in the league at one point as a quarterback. I forget what statistical area that is, of course. But I think that the Jets are going to be if they could handle draft and free agency really well, they have a lot of cap room. That's going to be a big thing going forward. That's going to be important for that team, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think that they are going to be a lot of fun. It maybe we'll see. I hope that would be a lot of fun to see the Jets competing next year. Next up, the Buccaneers. A disappointment, I think.
It's a hard knock life, Chris.
Yeah, the Bucs are just. They were supposed to be an offensive juggernaut. The running game never found itself. The wide receivers were a bit of a they didn't. Well, Mike Evans had a nice season, but overall it just was not. It wasn't explosive. Jameis Winston had a lot of interceptions. The defense had a lot of injuries, and I think that's part of the reason why they couldn't compete a lot this season as well. One thing that I will say, though, the last few weeks, Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been really all in against their divisional opponents. They almost beat the Falcons, could not pull it out. They almost beat the Panthers, and Cam Newton kind of saved the Panthers there. And they did beat the Saints in a quality game. And it was, there's hope there for Tampa. Once again, the NFC South could be really deep and really fun with a fourth team in the mix. I still have hope for the Bucs, but I hope that Dirk Cutter,
Cutter?
Cutter, whatever. It's a weird spelled name, so I don't know how to
Yeah,
pronounce it.
it's a
But
really cool. It's a really fucking cool name though.
yeah,
Dirk
absolutely,
Cutter.
Dark Cutter. Um, yeah, he's going to be he has to prove that he's going to be a good head coach for them, and hopefully it works out. But Hard Knocks did not work out for them. The last 2 seasons of Hard Knocks has been a disappointment. Usually, if you have a team on Hard Knocks, they have an improved record.
Yep.
But the Rams completely had an awful season in 2016, and then the Bucks went from 9-7 to 5-11. So there you go. So it's been rough. A candidate for maybe not because they're changing their head coach, but potential head candidacy for Hard Knocks this year could be the Bears.
Yeah, maybe.
And they're changing head coaches, so the head coach, so that they might not be forced to do it in that sense, because usually they want to give the new head coach a break. But John Fox is fired. Firefox is a great browser, and now is
Sure is. It's the one I'm using right now to look up the order that you're going in.
yeah. I'm the 2018 draft order.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
That's how I'm viewing it.
Yeah, there you go.
Through Firefox, which we did.
Yeah, but they did Firefox, and I agree with it. Look, I'll own it. I did say that was a great hire at the time, but I think what I didn't really account for was John Fox really did not want to change the style of his coaching, and that kind of screwed Trubisky over, and that kind of just screwed the team over in the long run. The one thing that you can take out of the season is that you guys won the AFC North.
That's true. We did win the AFC North.
That was significant. That was 4 of your 5 wins. So that's
we beat the entire AFC North and the Panthers, and we only beat the Panthers because of Eddie Jackson.
There you go.
Eddie Jackson beat the Panthers.
Eddie Jackson beat the Panthers, and good for that team, and good for the Bears in the sense that they do have a lot of depth with defense. Akeem Hicks and Eddie Jackson. Go ahead.
We have a pretty damn good defense, a solid quarterback who has the capability to be great as long as he gets someone to groom him well. An amazing backfield with Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen.
They had a good season. Not a lot of people talking about
that. Really surprising special teams, actually, especially on the return side, partially because of Tariq Cohen.
Yep.
And we've been having kicker issues all season, but that'll hopefully get solved. But all we need is wide receivers. We have none.
Yeah. I really think that the wide receiver should be the top priority for Chicago. They need
no question.
They need to get weapons for Trubisky.
We need to draft one, and we need to free agent grab someone from free agency or trade for one.
We need to free agent one.
Yep.
I agree. I think that if once you get a weapon that could really be a problem for defenses in the NFC North, I think that I think that this team could go far, and you need to set up a system for Trubisky that he can work with. You have to work to his strengths, and that's as simple as that. So we'll see. I gotta say, one of the biggest surprises last year was when they moved up the one spot in the draft and got Trubisky, and I thought that was one of the the great draft moments that I've watched, because it was just no one freaking expected it because they signed Mike Glennon. Which, by the way, where's Mike Glennon going? Is he gonna just stay on the bench, or they gonna cut him? I don't
know. He sucked.
Yeah, I don't know. So that's gonna be a question, I guess. But I think the Bears have a bright future, and I think that whoever, I really hope for your sake that they get a guy that is very offensive, an offensive coach.
best case scenario right now, and they did interview him. I don't know what the status is on it. If we get the fucking Patriots offensive coordinator,
Josh McDaniels.
yeah,
Yeah, they will interview. I don't know if they have yet. I think there's a lot of still open right now. Him, Matt Nagy, Steve. Well, no, Steve Wilkes is defensive. Never mind. But
yeah,
I think that if you need a quarterback guru, and I think those guys are going to be where you want to go for it. So who knows? Hopefully it works out. Let's do Oakland Raiders. Once again, I think a bigger disappointment than the Bucks, and I think it ended up resulting in the surprise firing of Jack Del Rio. But there's a reason to that, and what is that reason? Go Cubs.
Gruden.
John Gruden is reportedly has been seeked out by the Raiders, and he is the potential next head coach of the Raiders. They have to interview other people for the Rooney Rule, specifically minorities, in order to fit through that, to do that ethically, I guess. But John Gruden, if he becomes the head coach of the Raiders, that's going to be the splash hire of the offseason. Will it be worth it though? Look, I think. One thing that I realized with the Raiders is that they're trying to get people to still come to their games. Like, a lot of this stuff is PR. They are trying very hard to keep people coming to the games because they are going to be leaving for Las Vegas very soon. And if they don't get these big names to come to Oakland, people are going to start tuning out, and they're going to start thinking the Raiders suck and all that. You went through a 6-10 season. This is unacceptable for a team that's about to move away. You want to give Oakland at least that feeling of potentially going to the Super Bowl. Hiring John Gruden makes sense in that sense, but I don't. It's really tough for me to say right now that he is going to 100,050% going to turn things around for Derek Carr and all that. I find that very hard to believe. If he does it, that's going to be excellent for them. But I don't think it's going to be like... I don't think that this is going to be the guy to just all of a sudden fix everything that is wrong with the Raiders. Marshawn Lynch is the guy I point to because he had an okay season. He wasn't terrible, but he was supposed to be that flashy pick that he's the Oakland native. He's this all-star running back who, he's going to get inserted to that offense. He's going to just run
His
wild.
Grand return to football.
And it was mediocre. It was just a mediocre return. I could totally see that if John Gruden returns as head coach. And there's a lot of intrigue with that. John Gruden was the fact that he was initially reported to go to Tampa Bay, and then Tampa Bay decided to keep Dirk Cutter because they couldn't get Gruden, because then Gruden got enticed by the Raiders offer, which apparently includes like a 20% or 10% stake in ownership, which, like, my God.
Yeah.
I mean, look, this is a big step for the Raiders if they're going to go as far as to give their head coach ownership of the team. I really don't know what else to say about that. Maybe it'll work out for them. This sounds like they're keeping Reggie McKenzie. I haven't really heard much from them about that. But regardless, I am just gonna sit here and just watch from afar and see if something changes, see if something comes together for it, if that is the case that John Gruden's heading there. My question is, though, who's going to replace him on ESPN? I don't know. I'm very interested in the analysts because I'm very into, especially since I'm into sports, I'm also very much into sports media. I'm very fascinated to see who's going to be next to Sean McDonough. If Sean McDonough returns and John Gruden's gone, maybe they'll do a whole overhaul of Monday Night Football. But that's going to be fascinating. John Gruden might be calling his last game this Saturday against the Chiefs, or with the Chiefs playing in the game, rather. And I don't know if Andy Reid's going to be giving any information to John Gruden to use. So, fascinating.
Yeah, maybe you could replace him.
Oh, imagine. That I feel like
You heard it here first.
yeah, breaking news. Da, 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 da. No, that would be that whatever they end up doing. I want it to be an entertaining booth. It hasn't really been too entertaining since Mike Tirico left. Hopefully they can fix that. But let's move on to 49ers. The Super Bowl 53 champions, 49ers,
Yeah.
are are looking real good and winning 5 straight
Look,
at the end of the season.
they're doing this with one good player on the offense and a kicker. Maybe 2 good players, but
Yeah.
like Jimmy Garoppolo is an insane human being.
Already, right?
Yeah.
And
This is incredible.
Yeah, it really is, and I think especially he came from I believe a Division III school or something. He really is insane. I think that what's fun about this with Kyle Shanahan is that what has really changed with this offense is that he has really implemented what they did with Atlanta last year, where
Oh shit!
go ahead.
Garoppolo's from Illinois.
Yeah.
Went to school like 3 miles south of my college.
There you go. More reason to root for him, right?
Not 3 miles, but maybe an hour and a half drive.
Yeah, that's fair.
Something like that.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fancy that.
Fancy that. There you go. But hey, look, Kyle Shanahan has implemented the Atlanta Falcons offense where wide receivers get easily open and just they absolutely demolish defenses rather, and to have that back, with the San Francisco 49ers, have him really kicking ass on that offensive schemes, and watching Jimmy G just slinging it and kicking ass with it. That team is going to be a lot of fun to watch. It's going to be next year's Falcons probably. Their 2015 Falcons at least. Or 2016, I'm sorry. 2016 Falcons. And I think I'm really looking forward to seeing the Niners next year. I think they have a bright future. I don't really think that we need to go too deep into that. Now the Miami Dolphins. Yeah, they're the Dolphins, and they had Jay Cutler as their quarterback this year, and
that was a bold strategy. It didn't work out for them.
It didn't work, and
want to hear something great? Yeah. How many games did Deshaun Watson play in this year? 5, 6,
something like that. Yeah.
He threw as many touchdowns as Cutler did
all season. Wow.
Who played all 16?
That's rough. That's really rough. And he
didn't play all 16. He was out for a couple.
Right.
But still.
But they need, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but they need Tannehill back. And Tannehill had a really nice 2015 before he got injured, and they were dumb not to, or I don't know if it was Tannehill's decision or if it was the coaching decision or not, to not have him get surgery. But he should have gotten surgery, because otherwise he probably would not have torn his ACL like he did in August. Completely ruined his 2016 or 20. I'm sorry, the 2017 season. I'm forgetting what year it is. He injured it at the end of 2016, and at the beginning of 2017 season, before it even started, he tore his ACL, out for the year, and opened up the door for Jay Cutler to become the quarterback. If he is going to be back to where he was, down the 2016 stretch, considering how much the Dolphins were winning and doing well, then maybe they can, really kick ass. And they traded away Jay Ajayi. They're going to keep Kenyon Drake, who's looked awesome for them. The defense had quite a few really nice games, especially against the Patriots a few weeks ago where they beat them handily. There's hope and optimism for this Miami Dolphins team, but they need to fix the quarterback position. And I don't know what the future is yet for the wide receivers.
Look, you robbed Cutler of an illustrious broadcasting career.
Jay Cutler is going to be the color analyst for the Monday Night Football, probably.
Yeah, let's do it. Better than playing fucking quarterback.
Yeah,
he's clearly not good at.
And there you go. So just absolutely whack Cutler before he ends up, quarterbacking the Giants. Jesus, I can only imagine right now that he's gonna end up coming back with another team, and it's just maybe with the Cardinals. I don't know. Cincinnati Bengals at 7-9. Guess who's back? Marvin Lewis. He's back. Here's an interesting note. Well, and we'll talk about about Carson Palmer later in the season, but in 2004, I want to say it was 2003, whatever. It was one of those years. He took that job, Marvin Lewis as head coach, and his first ever draft pick was Carson Palmer. He is now going to be with the Bengals longer than Carson Palmer's entire career.
Okay.
I mean, what are we doing here? The dude has never gone over the playoff hump. He's never won a playoff game. He's constantly been a disappointment for that team. And yes, I get it. The Bengals were a laughingstock before Marvin Lewis got there. And he has definitely turned that team into a much more respectable franchise than they were beforehand. But at some point or another, you have to put that aside and say, we need a change. We need something different with this team. We can't have the same shit every single year if it's not going to deliver results. And yet, they continue to do it. I get being consistent, but this is ridiculous. 16 seasons. He's going to be coaching 16 seasons with no Super Bowls. I'm dying.
Yeah.
I'm dying for Marvin Lewis.
Even like a postseason win.
No, nothing. Nothing. Yeah. It's like
postseason, yes. Postseason win.
Right. That's the point, though. The Bengals have not won a playoff game since the 90s, early 90s. You're telling me that you're going to keep a guy that still has not gotten over that hump before. Look, he's a great coach in the sense that he's been able to lead this franchise to back-to-back-to-back postseason berths and really get the respect of the players and all that. I get it. I understand. But you can't keep doing that especially after 2 years where you haven't been in the playoffs. I don't get it. I don't really understand it. Watch the Bengals win the Super Bowl next year. I don't know. I just think, I think that you need to look at your other options out there. I get that you have to compete with teams to find a head coach, but you're going to have to do that anyway. So you have to suck it up and do it at one point, or you're going to be stuck with Marvin Lewis and potential no postseason win or Super Bowl in that time. Yep. I need a drink. Can you just entertain those thoughts?
Good news for the someone on the Bengals, at least. The Bengals did have a pretty interesting moment this last week where they prevented their division rivals from making the postseason with a win, and as a result, a bunch of Bills fans, the team that they helped get in by keeping the Ravens out, started donating to Andy Dalton's charity, which is pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That built for Bills fans, that they were like, "Hey, thanks, dude.
Absolutely.
Have some money to help sick people."
It's a really awesome moment. I think, I was watching a video before Week 17 about how impossible scenarios have happened before, where a team that was kind of a long shot to get in got in, and it was definitely one of those moments where the Bills, we talked about it last week, where we said the Bills were the long shot to get in. And when you have a moment like that, it's like the few times that fans of one team really cheer for and root for another in such a big fashion, and for the fact that the Bengals were able to pull out the win in really, like you said, exciting fashion. It really just makes it really that's kind of what makes the sport so much fun. And the Bills, they sent a letter to the Bengals saying that they're going to send out a bunch of wings for the team, and like you said, the Bills fans donated to Andy Dalton's charity. It really was a great moment, I think, in Bengals history. I think that's part of the reason why Marvin Lewis is staying where he is, because in the last two games they knocked out playoff teams. They've knocked out the Lions and they knocked out the Ravens.
Oh, you're right about the Lions, yeah.
So maybe the Bengals were like, you know what, he's still got it. He still can compete with the best of them. We're only 7-9, especially with all these injuries. Let's keep him for another year. So, I guess that's where we're at, right? The Bengals are, they if they stay healthy, maybe they can be a team that can really kick ass, later on. But I just it's tough. It's really tough, and I would love to see the Bengals have success, but I can't really defend the decision of keeping him. But regardless, what a win and what a great way to end off Week 17. Um, we'll talk more when we get to those matchups. Washington Redskins. What's the future for Kirk Cousins?
Not with the Redskins.
You don't think he's gonna survive this year?
Nope.
I mean, because they can franchise tag him again.
They can, but they have done so little to help him out, it seems. That they're either going to be like, fuck you, we own you, or they're going to try to get a lot of money and draft picks out of it. And I feel like that they would, I don't know, Cousins hasn't been, the team in general has not been doing well. And I think that maybe a change of pace for everyone would both make Cousins better and make Washington better. So I don't think Washington's gonna hang on to Cousins.
I would, I think it would be a terrible mistake for Washington to drop him. I would not be surprised if that happened, though, if they decided to move on from him. I mean, here's the concern. He can't be traded because he is a free agent and he cannot be. They cannot get draft picks for him. Maybe compensatory picks, maybe.
Yeah.
But they can't get anything else from him. So
gotcha.
That's gonna be.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, that's gonna be the big thing for the Washington is. Do we want to just let this guy go and get a big money contract somewhere, or do we want to franchise tag him, keep him here? And maybe once they franchise tag him, they could technically trade him at that point.
Yeah.
It's either with the transition tag that they could trade him or the franchise tag. I'm not entirely sure how that works. I think that if Washington was smart, they would keep him around because he had a really great season, despite the fact that the team itself has not been that bad, or that has been bad rather. I'm not too sure either. I think that he might stay with the Redskins. I think that's more likely than not, but I could see it where he goes somewhere else. We thought he would go to San Francisco. That's not going to happen anymore.
Nope.
People are hoping for the Jets. I know that people I know are hoping that the Jets get him. He could head to Arizona. He could head to Jacksonville. There's a lot of scenarios there. I don't know I doubt he'll go to Cleveland. Maybe he'll go to the Giants. No. I don't know. Maybe he'll go in division. So who knows? It'll be fun though.
I'm gonna guess he's gonna go to Arizona.
Arizona, yeah. I mean that's the vacant spot, and you're not gonna upend anyone. That would be intriguing, especially if they get like a quarterback, a coach that is like very quarterback centric. Packers. We won't go. I won't go too deep into this one because this a lot of the reason why they went 7-9 was because Aaron Rodgers went out. But the roster is
it's
not
a shit team without Rodgers.
Right. That's the big thing, and I think what they did was that I thought was good was that Ted Thompson is moving out of the general manager role. He's gonna be like a consultant now. So they're going to hire a new GM. They needed that. They need to hire a GM because they need to draft talent around Rodgers. I think a lot of the guys that you consider talented on that team, they might not be there anymore. I mean, I think you'll definitely keep the rookies there with Jamal Williams, Aaron Jones, and all that. But Jordy Nelson might not be back. Randall Cobb might not be back. Devontae Adams got an extension, so he'll be back.
Devontae Adams is pretty good.
Yeah, he's excellent. And you got some defensive players as well. That have been pretty good, especially in the secondary. But you need to build that team, and you really need to get people around him, especially before Aaron Rodgers really starts to crumble. You need him to have a team around him in his prime, because then otherwise you're not going to get him a second Super Bowl. So this is the first time in a long time that the Packers have missed the playoffs. That's the goal for this team, is to just, you need to build around him, and you really, really need to kick ass in the draft and free agency, because otherwise, you're just going to make mistake after mistake.
Look, as a Bears fan,
yeah,
I hate the Packers.
Yes.
I respect the Packers.
Yeah.
But this was a good season for me just because the Packers didn't make the postseason.
And that's fair. And I think, if go ahead.
I respect Aaron Rodgers so much as a player that he deserves to be on a team that treats him well. And I hope that the Packers position themselves to give him success.
Yeah. There's no way that they're going to get rid of him. And I know that that you had some of those teams that complained that he didn't go when he got put back on the IR or whatever, get released, whatever that means.
Yeah.
I do hope that that team gets built, because I think you could have a really fun NFC North if they kind of really give him some nice weapons, and then Aaron Rodgers could kick ass, and then you have the Vikings kicking ass the way they are right now, and the Bears could be up and rising, and the Lions could not be so mediocre. Who knows? It could be fun. So we'll see what happens there. Arizona Cardinals. Here's the biggie, because Bruce Arians announced his retirement. I'm sad to see him go, because he was a lot of fun. Kind of he wasn't so much of a robot like a lot of other coaches are.
Yeah.
Very down-to-earth guy. And I really enjoyed him. And so he is going to be gone. And just today, Carson Palmer announced he's going to retire. And so that leaves Larry Fitzgerald, if he's going to retire now. I think he will, because I don't know if he's going to want to learn a new coach, if he wants to catch passes.
Learn a new quarterback that's not Palmer or Warner.
Right. Exactly, and I think that Larry Fitz is going to be, even though he did get an extension on his contract, I think that was just for security reasons. I don't know if he's going to be back, and for that, regardless of whether or not Larry Fitzgerald is back, that essentially means a completely changing of the guard on that offense. New quarterback, you need a new leading wide receiver. David Johnson's really going to be the cornerstone of that franchise. The defense was sneaky good this year, and
really, with Tyrann Mathieu, Patrick Peterson,
and specifically Chandler Jones as well. He had a monster season. You can, I think people can sleep tight knowing that they have a nice defense, but the offense is going to be the big question, and who's going to lead your franchise going forward. And it's going to start with whoever they hire a head coach. I know Todd Haley was considered for the job. I know there was a few other names that the Cardinals are going to be searching out for, a lot of which are offensive, strong coaches. So who knows? But a lot of the reason why Arizona was so attractive for other teams or other players rather, was because of Bruce Arians. To not have that back again is going to be very tough for them going forward. And all right, I'm going to go, I don't know if you're looking at the draft order, I'm going to go reverse order here for the last one. So we're going to start with the Lions. And the Lions were eliminated in week 16, and they had such a great start to the season. They kind of surprised me. I was just like, okay, this team's fun. This is a fun team. And then they kind of went back to being their mediocre selves, and Matthew Stafford is maddening to watch, because he has so many great moments, but then there's just times where you're like, what are you doing? He's such a great quarterback, and it just kind of stinks as he doesn't have such a strong team around him. They have not solved the running game. Offensive line still has issues, and they do have some great wide receivers, but they're okay. They're not amazing. They need to have someone back that's like, Calvin Johnson type good. And Kenny Galladay, who was a rookie, he played pretty well for them. Maybe he's the future. The defense still needs to get better as well. They had a nice season.
So much better.
They had a decent season, especially with the secondary, but it's just they just they're not there, and they just this Lions team just there's some they need some kind of juice there because it just feels okay. And
Hmm.
Jim Caldwell has been fired from the Lions, and um and maybe when the next coach comes in, whoever that might be, might make it more fun again. And I hope they do because I want this Lions team to be exciting. And if they're
Give
gonna,
us Cooter.
I earlier, uh, the Ian Rappaport reported that Jim Bob Cooter was interviewed for the Lions job, but he started the tweet as a Cooter update, and I want that to be a thing. So please,
Look,
Lions
look,
fans,
look,
hire
look.
Cooter.
If anything, it just means that uh, Cooter's name will be said more.
Exactly. That is all I care about. I just want Cooter to be in the dialect of the NFL for a long time, and if you hire him as the Detroit Lions head coach, that's gonna be a big thing going forward. So please get us to that.
Yep.
Um, Cowboys. Uh, I mean, I think a lot of the reason why they kind of fell apart was Zeke.
Well, yeah.
So I mean, if he
You know,
what's
maybe Dak Prescott isn't the future that everyone thought he would be.
he might not be.
Too, because he was shit without Zeke.
Yeah, he had
That's one player gone that really doesn't affect you much, other than maybe one less target.
yeah.
But I don't
I
know.
I think that I think you need another season with him. I think that you should stick with Dak for now. But
Yeah,
if these problems continue to exist, then yeah, I mean you're gonna have to figure out something else. But Dak Prescott, Zeke Elliott were such a dynamite, you know, duo last year and early this year, and it really was just Zeke being suspended that kind of started like a domino effect of just mediocrity for this team and really
mhm.
screwed them over going forward. They could have been a fifth seed or a sixth seed, and that they kind of blew it. But the Week 16 game against the Seahawks was really weird. I was not expecting that, especially with Zeke coming back. But maybe they just were not prepared enough without
Yeah,
Zeke. I don't know what that whole deal was. And the Week 17 was kind of just messy looking 6-0 win over Eagles, and I don't know. I hope that the offense can do well. That's all you can hope for at this point. Um, Seahawks, they were eliminated with a Falcons win, and they also did lose to the Cardinals. Bruce Arians went out with a win. That Seahawks team is going to look very different next season with the
yeah.
changes of defensive players. Cam Chancellor, Cliff Averill may not even play football again because of their injuries. But Richard Sherman might be on the way out. Earl Thomas, he's a veteran, but he might be on the way out. Michael Bennett, like all those guys that you knew were on that defense is gonna be gone. Jimmy Graham's not expected to resign according to a report. Um, it's really gonna be Russell Wilson, Doug Baldwin, and Bobby Wagner on that team.
Yeah,
And you got it's like they have to do like what many people are calling like a mini rebuild and really build that defense again to what it used to be. And I think that they could. I mean, how good the defense was. A lot of that coaching staff and that front office staff is still there, so they could do it. It's gonna be tough though. It's gonna be tough without to lose all those players, but it might be for the better for that team.
yeah,
Uh, a lot of toxic situations for the Seahawks all year. Um, and maybe that locker room shift might happen if once you get rid of a lot of those players. So who knows? Um, L.A. Chargers. This is a bit of a disappointment. I was hoping that the Chargers would make the comeback here.
look,
Yeah,
they
go
look
ahead.
they started 0-4. They did what they needed to do the last game.
Yeah,
Uh, the Jaguars just did what they did. Uh, and yeah,
yeah.
uh,
That
Titans would have lost. Chargers would be in there right with them. Uh, right
it,
with with the Bills.
well
But
with Baltimore actually.
oh, really?
Yeah, that game really shifted everything. Um,
Oh, I
we'll
see.
we'll talk about that in a second though. But Well, a lot of factors there, but we'll get into that. But the Chargers, as they stand right now, really great team going into this next season. If everyone stays put, it's gonna really be great. And coaching just needs to get a little better. But it was Anthony Lynn's first year, so good for them. And last but not least, a really surprise team on the outside is the Ravens. They are out after a loss to the Bengals. And from here on out, now they are going to be that's going to haunt them going throughout the off season, and it's disappointing. It sucks to lose a game like that, but you know what? They had the chance. They had complete control of their destiny, and they blew it. And now they're gonna have to live with that and be on the sidelines. But to not have the Ravens and Chargers in the playoff is a big disappointment and kind of a blow to fun football in a way. But I don't know how much is going to change with the Ravens team. Maybe they'll look at a new quarterback, potentially. I don't know. And oh, okay. I just got a news alert for college football, and I thought it was NFL related, but it was Arizona fires head coach Rich Rodriguez amid sexual harassment investigation. Oh Jesus!
Oh, good. We need more of those. I'm not used to those at all.
Anyways, so that's a very long recap of everyone's season. I know that was a lot, but I kind of wanted to at least talk about all of them because I think it's important to kind of recap everything that happened there, and really close out that chapter. So everyone is going to be searching for head coaches. We'll update, as head coach hirings happens and general manager hirings happen. But for now, we move forward into the wild card weekend, and we're going to start with first of all, I mean, look at this wild card field, and I don't think that as just absolute chaotic and weird as this wild card field has been, or as the season has been, rather, to have this be the final, the playoffs, the beginning of the playoffs, to have it look like this is like, what the actual fuck happened this season?
Yeah. To show this to someone like especially last season, but maybe even like 2 or 3 years ago, and they were like, what?
Just to show it to them in early September.
Yeah, even then.
You'd be like, whoa, what?
What the fuck is this?
It really was. And I think that there's disappointment, I think, with both of us, in the sense that we wanted to see a bunch of teams that could compete with like the Patriots and the Steelers, and that could upend them. But I don't know. I've taken time to think about it, and it was especially during the day of Week 17 where I kind of was just like, you know what, I kind of want to have what it would be kind of weird and interesting to have the Titans and Bills in the playoffs instead of the Chargers and Ravens, because I was not expecting that to happen, and the fact that it did is really insane. Here's a stat for you. 4 of the top 6 longest playoff droughts were broken this year.
Oh shit. I knew the longest one was what are the other ones?
Bills, Rams, Jaguars, and Titans.
Okay.
Dating back to 1999 was the Bills. I think the last time the Rams were in was like 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
Titans was 2008. Jaguars was or Titans were 2007. Jaguars was 2008. And now if you look at the top 4 longest playoff droughts at this point, it's the Browns at top again. So really, like, they go 0-16.
Really bad year for Cleveland.
Yeah, really, they go 0-16, and now they have the longest postseason drought. It really works out for them. Buccaneers.
Okay.
And then the Jets and the Bears, who were last in the playoffs in 2010.
Yeah.
How insane is that? Since 2013, 28 NFL teams have been in the playoffs. Only 4 have not since
Wow.
2013. How insane is that?
That's fucking amazing.
And that to have that parity in this league, I get it. I feel it. I understand that you're gonna have the Bills and the Titans go out there on this weekend and potentially lay an egg. Because they're not as talented as the people that they're playing against. I get it. I understand. I there is a lot of me that enjoys it. I enjoy the fact that the Titans, who I've shat on all, like I started the season really loving them, and then just began shatting on them because of how terrible they were. But now that they're in the playoffs, I'm like, you know what? If they could just pull a Cinderella story, or like the Bills pull a Cinderella story, and just be in the playoffs and then go deep or something like that, that would be so much fun because it would be so unexpected. But the fact that they're even in the playoffs, the Titans made it to the playoffs despite the fact they've been so mediocre. The Bills made the playoffs because even after Nathan Peterman happened, after all the shit that they went through, early in the season where people were saying, "Oh, they're gonna tank, just like the Jets." No, they're 9-7 and they're the 6th seed, bitches. They're in it.
Yeah.
The Bill. If you've watched the Bills Twitter or watched any of Bills Twitter with the videos that they've posted, Kyle Williams, who's been on the team for 12 seasons. 12 seasons he's been on that team, has never once sniffed the playoffs, and finally he gets to embrace it. Probably will go out in glorious fashion, being in the playoffs for the first time in his career. It is such an inspiration, not inspirational, but it's such an amazing story for both of those franchises, and for the Rams, who are having a phenomenal season, could make the Super Bowl. The Jaguars, who, yes, they've blown in the last 2 weeks, they've been so good in other aspects of this game, of the season, and to have all those teams in the mix and have 8 of the 12, or only 4 of the 12 playoff teams from last year be in this, have all 8 changes essentially in the postseason field.
5 of them in the NFC alone. Just in the NFC, 5 of them.
It's so much fun, and I hope that I hope for some fun football. I hope for some really close games, but enjoy the moment of having the Bills back in the playoffs and having the Titans and the Jaguars and the Rams and having all these guys, the Panthers, Saints, all these teams that haven't been there, Eagles, Vikings, that haven't been in there in a while. It's fun. And it adds to the parity of the NFL, and it's going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to it. Let's talk Titans Chiefs. What are you most looking forward to with this game?
I am looking forward to see if the Chiefs' offense is going to be turned on during the postseason, like they were past couple weeks, not including Week 17 and at the start of the season, or if they're going to be middle of the season Chiefs.
That's the big concern too.
Because I think that I honestly think the Chiefs could win, whether their switch is on or off. They did lose to the Giants when they were off, but
here's my concern if I'm a Titans fan right now, or rather a Chiefs fan. The Titans have a very good defense, and that's really what's carried them to this point. Their defense has really turned a corner in this year. If they are going to shut down Kareem Hunt, that's going to shut down a lot of the offense, because Kareem Hunt has really been on fire the last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Raiders, Chargers, Dolphins, Broncos, those 4 weeks have been insane with Hunt. I mean, Hunt went in for 1 carry against the Broncos and went 36 yards for a touchdown. He's insane. He's a really huge part of that team. We'll be curious to see if they shut down Travis Kelce as well, and that would be my biggest concern for that team. But it is the Titans. That's the biggest thing. Yeah, go ahead.
The Titans are worse than what their record is.
Mm-hmm.
That's the clear and cut fact. The fact that they are still in the postseason just shows how wide open this AFC field was, I think.
Absolutely.
So
I think
with how mediocre they are and how very little they actually come together and form a football team. I think with the combined with the fact that the Chiefs will be at home, I don't think the Titans are going to stand a chance.
I don't think so either. And I think one thing that you could say in the last 2 weeks with the Titans, even though they lost to the Rams, they played really close with the Rams. They
True.
also they also beat the Jaguars again against a they were a very good defense. Say what you want about Bortles and everything like that. He made some nice throws in that game. I think that what's going to really the only way that the offense is going to work is if you need to use Delaney Walker. Delaney Walker is I think the best player on that team, one of the best free agent signings that the NFL has ever seen, really, because the Delaney Walker has been awesome for the Titans.
Mm.
Marcus Mariota is gonna have to use his legs, and I know that's dangerous for a quarterback, but he single handedly beat the Jaguars with his legs in the final minutes of those games. He needs to run the football. Derrick Henry needs to get some holes, get open, and really run the football. And of course, I mean, DeMarco Murray has to be healthy too, but he hasn't really played well even when he's healthy. So I don't really know that I'm trying to make it so that way the Titans might stand a chance, but it's going to be very difficult against the Chiefs. Um, One thing before we pick this game, well, actually, you know what? No, let's just pick it right now because we'll talk about that later.
All right.
Titans Chiefs, where you got
I have to go Chiefs
going Chiefs?
because I feel like if the Chiefs are on, which I feel like they can be, and they have been, their offense has been on, they could make a Super Bowl push.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I
Yeah,
actually 100% agree with you.
yeah.
I
Especially with how they started the season, like opening up the season, beating the Patriots. No one remembers that.
Yeah,
Like,
that game would be fascinating if the Chiefs do end up going to Foxborough because they did have Eric Berry in that game and he was crucial because he did protect Gronk. Now Gronk might have a little bit of an easier time against the Chiefs, but
mm,
even with Gronk, 2 postseasons ago, um, when the Chiefs played the Patriots, that was a close game. And actually,
it was.
it's because the Chiefs were just had poor time management. They do have a formula for beating those Patriots. Could happen. It very well could happen. So that's very intriguing, and I think that's a likely matchup for the divisional weekend. So I agree with you. I'm going Chiefs, and I think that they are, if anything, they are the AFC sleeper at this point.
Yeah.
So let's go to 8 p.m. Saturday night, NBC Falcons at the Rams, the first ever primetime game for the Los Angeles Rams, or at least first since they've come back, and the first playoff game in LA for the first time in a long time as well.
Yeah.
Atlanta, the Atlanta Falcons, who got in after a nice win over the Panthers, they are now going to have to deal with one of the most, one of the hardest, offenses to defend against.
Mm.
Uh, and it's going to be a tough one. What are you most excited for this matchup?
To actually watch a Rams game this season.
There you go. There you go. So,
'Cause I don't know, like I've never been able to actually watch them just because like they're not in my area,
mm-hmm.
and they've been one of my favorite teams to keep up with. So I'm excited to actually watch them play and see what this team is really all about.
Yeah, this is it's kind of fascinating because this Rams team. Well, first of all, you go back to last year. The Falcons played Los Angeles Rams in Los Angeles and absolutely demolished them. That game actually led to Jeff Fisher being fired. So there's your storyline a little bit.
Yep.
This another storyline here. The Rams, or rather, I'm sorry, the Falcons last year was like the highest scoring team in the NFL.
Yeah.
This year, the Rams are the highest scoring team in the NFL. So
Yep.
This is really like looking at the parallels between these two teams, between last year, what the Falcons were, and now what the Rams are, and it's very similar in that sense.
Want to hear another fact?
Go ahead.
Matt Ryan has never won a postseason game outside of Atlanta.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
And I think that this is going to be a difficult game for the Falcons.
I
It,
agree.
they do have a nice defense, and there's times where that offense clicks, but it has neither of those things. Well, I think the defense is pretty good, but the offense has not been where it was last year, and that's going
No.
to be a huge concern, especially against Aaron Donald, especially against that Rams defense, who's with Wade Phillips at hand, who will absolutely pressure you, and really make cause issues for you. I don't know. I'm very intrigued by this game, though. I think that out of all the games, I know that you said well, I know that you feel one way strongly about it. I think
Yeah.
this is a little bit more closer than I I, ex, I expect, because I think the Falcons they beat every single competing NFC team heading into this playoff that were almost in it. That they all ended up getting
Yeah.
eliminated. But they really kicked ass and had all these tiebreakers over all those teams,
Seahawks, Lions, and Cowboys.
Cowboys and
Yeah.
Packers, and that was
Yeah.
Packers with Aaron Rodgers. So they're gonna be a tough out for the Rams, but I think it's gonna be really close. What do you think is gonna happen?
Well, yeah, I think this is going to be a really fun game to watch, and I'm looking forward to watching it. Uh, I think that the combination of Jared Goff and Todd Gurley is like something that I like, that I wasn't expecting to come out of this year. And the Rams have such a good story with them. Not that the Falcons don't, but
Mhm. Yeah.
like I really want to pick the Rams here, just because I think that the Rams are one of two teams that can make the Super Bowl push in the NFC.
I agree. I'm going with the Rams,
Mhm.
but I think that they have a fantastic story. The minute that Sean McVay had that press conference, I was just like, holy crap. This guy is going to be fun. And this could be a very fun team to watch. I'm glad that it has become as fun to watch
Yeah,
as it has. And this is the time, though. The Rams have had a lot of big games this season, and they showed up in one of them against the Saints, and they beat them. But they against the Vikings, they had a really tough time, and against the Eagles, they were close, but could not get it done. This is your chance now. You're on a national stage. Everyone's going to be watching you. Are you as good as your record says you are, as the seeding says you are? Prove it in this game. I think they will. I'm going Rams.
yeah, Rams.
All right. God, I always, this next matchup, I keep on looking at. I'm like, I cannot believe that this is a playoff matchup, but it is. Buffalo Bills heading to Jacksonville to play the Jaguars in the Sunday early wild card game.
Not only is there a playoff in Los Angeles, there's a playoff in fucking Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, your team that you've been really riding strong with. I really am curious. What are you most looking forward to with this game?
To see these two defenses really go at it,
Yeah, because I think,
especially Jacksonville's.
well, absolutely. I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars definitely have the edge with defense, but the Bills, what they have is not necessarily like the really strong defense, but they have the ability to take away the ball. They are
Yeah.
a very strong team in really getting to you and making sure that you do not have the ball in your hand anymore, and that they have it and they're going to run it in for a touchdown. They have been very good at that all year long. And that's going to be their biggest strength on that front. And the biggest concern though for the Bills is LaShawn McCoy. Will he be healthy? Will he be able to go? They say that he's a game time decision right now, so we don't know for sure if he's going to make it. I hope he does, because
Me too. I want it to be a competitive game.
Yeah, you want it to be close. if he's not ready to go, I don't know if the Bills can win this game. But if he is there, I still don't see it, but you never know. The Jaguars struggled down the stretch. They had a really tough 2 games. I mean, those
Yeah.
2 games were on the road, and
One,
one
one was against Jimmy Garoppolo, who is the second coming of
Christ,
football Jesus.
of football, Jesus.
Yeah. Uh, uh, and the other one was against the Titans, and I don't know how they lost that Titans one. So,
Well, I think part of it could have been, if you don't want to say like, oh, it's just them being mediocre. It might have just been that they thought that they were safe and they didn't put as much heart into it as they
yeah, that's
could
right.
have. I don't know. But that would be an argument. I am concerned about the team though.
Yes, as am I. However, like, even if I feel like even if LaShawn McCoy comes back, he may or may not be up to full form, and just with how like suffocating is the word I'll use the Jaguars' defense is. I think that the Bills will just overall have a hard time scoring.
Mm.
Uh, LaShawn McCoy is going to be their offense. Like Tyrod Taylor's all right, but nothing super special. I mean, I guess the same could be said about Bortles and the Jacksonville offense. But this game's going to be a defensive battle. I'm gonna go with Jacksonville though.
Yeah, I think it's going to be defensive centric, and if the only way that the Bills are going to have a chance is if they can make plays against the defense.
And start Nathan Peterman.
don't don't even touch Nathan Peterman. Keep him there. Put him in the luxury box or something. I don't know. Just keep him away from the field. Tyrod Taylor, he's not the perfect quarterback. Everyone says that. He's not the quarterback that he's gonna be, the superstar. But he gets the job done. He doesn't turn the ball over too much, and that's gonna be huge against this team. But he needs to make some good throws, and that's gonna be tough with the secondary. But maybe something works out. I don't know. At this point, you kind of just have to be like, I don't know. One thing too is you have to look at Tyrod Taylor, LaShawn McCoy, and who else do they have on their offense? Not really a lot. And
Yeah.
you gotta hope that maybe Kelvin Benjamin comes in and makes a play. Maybe Charles Clay makes a play. Nick O'Leary. I don't know. You gotta have to really hope. Maybe they'll bring Kyle Williams out to run in a touchdown again, like he did in that Miami game. Who knows? But that's gonna be a big concern, and I have to go with Jacksonville. And that would mean if our predictions go as according to plan, that the Jaguars would be hanging to the Steelers, who they just dominated in Heinz Field, and then like I said, the Chiefs would go
at the start of the season,
Foxborough.
Yeah,
at the start of the season, yes, of course, but
yeah.
Who knows? I mean, that's a really fascinating AFC divisional field if you have the Chiefs go to Foxborough and Jacksonville.
Because the top 2 seeds were both beaten by the teams that they're about to face.
Correct. That
granted in the first couple weeks of the season, but still beaten.
Right.
And the Steelers were manhandled by Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the big thing, and I really hope that the field goes like that. And I want the Titans and the Bills to be competitive, but I do want the Chiefs and Jaguars to win, so that way we have that set up.
Those 2 matchups, because if the Chiefs face the Steelers are gonna demolish them.
Right, and
I don't know what it is, but the Steelers are just the Achilles heel of the Chiefs.
Right, and then that would also mean that the Bills beat the Jaguars, and then the Bills would face the Patriots. And that would just be that's a fucking gimme.
Get gutted.
Fucking, the Around the NFL podcast is one of my favorite podcasts, and Dan Hansis refers to the Patriots as the throne of ease, and that would be truly a throne of ease moment for the Bills to come into Foxborough on the divisional round weekend.
Yep.
And then just get, torpedoed.
The Bills would probably lose so bad that they just declare the Patriots the Super Bowl winners right then.
Right.
Right there and then.
They'll lose so bad that their drought will suddenly reappear. It will be
This
like
playoff never happened.
this playoff never
They
happened.
won a postseason game, and it still never happened.
It still never happened. Yeah, but yeah, like I said, I would love it for it to be competitive, but I would want the Jaguars to win, and so and I think that the Jaguars will do it. Last but not least, you got a divisional matchup, our first since Bengals or Steelers at Bengals, which was kind of
Bengals
messy.
a couple years ago.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is our divisional matchup. This is a series. It'll be Panthers at Saints. This is a series that the Saints have swept this season and kind of handily too. They kind of dominated in those games. But can they do it a third time? What are you excited about with this game?
To see if Cam Newton can fucking throw the ball to a receiver.
He can function.
Can function as a quarterback and not as a running back.
Yeah.
God.
That's a big concern.
The Atlanta game was really frustrating, Chris.
No, I get it. I understand, and that's gonna be the storyline going in. Is they've kind of struggled over the last 2 weeks. I still had kind of confidence in them even during the Bucks game because I kind of just thought like the Bucks were kind of have an awakening near the end of the season.
Yeah, I felt especially with the Bucks beating the Saints this week. I felt less bad about last week, but this week Cam Newton just wasn't on his game.
Right.
So best case scenario is we get Jonathan Stewart back.
Yeah.
I say we because I'm a big Panthers fan. Get Jonathan Stewart back. Cam Newton learns how to throw the ball again. And the Saints don't know how to stop the Panthers for a third time in a row. I wanted to defer on you at least one pick, and I know you're gonna pick the Saints, so I'm gonna go with the Panthers on this one.
That's fair, and I think you could. I think you could defer on any of these picks. I know that it seemed like you have the AFC, which seems like, okay, it's going to go one way, but you never know. When it comes to the postseason, especially when it comes to this fucking season as a whole, this has been a weird fucking season. And
before Rams-Jaguars Super Bowl.
Right, exactly. I mean, you have the what the fuck Super Bowl that could be the Rams Jaguars, or you know what,
or the Rams Bills, or the Rams Titans.
Right? Yeah, yeah. Jesus Christ, you could have
You could have a cat ball still.
You could have a cat ball. You could have Jaguars Panthers. You never know. Anything could happen. I think with the Panthers, what they do have is they have McCaffrey, who's really shown up in the last few weeks, and he's really starting to kind of get that role of being a major factor in the passing game as well as the running game. They need Jonathan Stewart. Jonathan Stewart is such a crucial part of that offense because he knows how to run the ball.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey is like an all-around good offensive back receiver. Jonathan Stewart is the runner, though.
Yeah, no, for sure. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you need that in this game. You need to run the football. That's going to be so big for that team. If they can't get him, that's gonna end up being their downfall. The defense.
If they don't have Jonathan Stewart, the Saints are gonna plow them.
The defense has been good, and it's tough, and think about what happened 3 weeks ago. They beat the Vikings, so there's a chance that this Panthers team could get their act together. I trust Ron Rivera. I trust that coaching staff that they could turn it around. But here's my but. When it's all said and done, Cam Newton has digressed a little bit down the stretch here, and if he's not playing, well, and his receivers aren't, playing that well, they've really been riddled with injuries, and they traded Benjamin away, who didn't really work with their offense, and Greg Olsen, if he can't really be a huge factor either, and that is all going to be a huge problem. The Saints. They also, as good as the Panthers defense has been, they have not had a solution for Kamara and Ingram. The running game has gone through the Panthers, and Drew Brees is still playing really well. It's gonna be very tough for the Panthers to win it. I think it could happen. It's a divisional game. It's a feisty game. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. but I'm going with the Saints as well.
Yeah,
Or Saints alone, I guess, because I just think that they are the better team going into this game. They have an advantage,
I agree with you.
but I think that the Panthers do have a shot. I think any of these teams have a shot of I think the they are the second most likely team to pull the upset next to the Falcons. I think
All
the
right.
Falcons could beat the Rams. I think the Panthers could beat the Saints. And I think the Bills could upset the Jaguars. The Titans, I think, are the long shot there. But that, who knows, something crazy could happen there. I just, eh, like we said, we never know what could happen. You never know what crazy shit could happen. Keep in mind too that the week that the Panthers beat the Vikings, that was a week after they were beat up again against the Saints.
Yeah.
So who knows, right? You never know.
Also, if I feel like if the Rams, whoever, one team in the NFC South has a straight shot to the NFC Championship.
Mm.
Because if the Rams win, the winner of Panthers Saints will face the Eagles. And if the Falcons win, the Falcons will face the Eagles, and the Eagles are going to get floored by anyone who faces them. So
Yeah, and that,
I have no faith in the Eagles anymore.
it's true. It really is. I mean,
Yeah,
and we'll talk more about all those teams next weekend, but it really is that the Eagles are the weakest, probably number one seed that we've had in a long time, and
yeah,
and it's a shame. It's a shame because Carson Wentz was a lot of fun to watch, and now he's injured, he's out, and you have Nick Foles in there, and he has not shown that he can be a competent quarterback, and he did back in 2013. He had this amazing career year for in Philadelphia, and then it just all kind of fell apart from there, and he has not been the same, and they're gonna try to fix him. I saw the alert earlier that they're gonna try to look at 2013 tape and see what he did so well, and maybe they could get him back to that. That's gonna be very tough, and so the NFC South teams right now, whoever ends up facing him, they're in for a good one. They have a really good shot to probably either head to Minnesota or head to Los Angeles, to for the NFC Championship. So, good shape. Yeah, so that's really I think that pretty much sums everything up, very nicely. We got to give our Super Bowl picks now.
yep.
And I don't know. Like I said, I didn't want to do anything predictable. I probably will end up going against these picks when I end up making my predictions.
Mm.
But I don't know. I feel like there's a good chance that could happen. What do you think? What's your mindset at?
So I wanted to make essentially like one. You know what? No, fuck it. I'm gonna go with this. I made this decision yesterday, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I think it could happen.
Okay.
I legitimately do. I also didn't want to pick the same things as you.
Okay.
Based on what you have already picked.
Okay.
Eagles aren't gonna make it. Fuck that.
Mm-hmm.
Steelers, pretty good chance. Still not gonna pick them.
Mm-hmm.
Also basing it on the matchups that I did. So the past two Super Bowl matchups have been between teams that face each other in the next season.
Right.
So based on all of that, and based on these matchups that I have, I'm going to go with a Super Bowl 52 matchup of the Rams and Chiefs.
There you go. Former Missouri, housemates, essentially, with that game. Yeah, this was kind of tough because I was like, I think the Patriots are the clear-cut favorite in the AFC, and it's a little bit more obscure with the NFC, because I think the Vikings are the favorite. The Eagles are kind of the long shot, but they're still kind of like, they're still number one, so I didn't want to go with them. The Rams, I've definitely had my eye on. And I think that I think the Vikings or Rams have the best shot of all of them.
Yeah.
But I have this weird feeling that you look at the quarterback field in the NFC. Who's the best quarterback in that group? It's
Jay Cutler.
uh, in that group. Go Cubs! It's Drew Brees. Drew
It's Drew Brees.
Brees has been
Drew Brees.
a Hall of Fame. Is going to be in the Hall of Fame for everything that he's done with New Orleans. He's completely turned that around. I think the Saints have a really good shot to make
Yeah.
the playoffs, and I'm going to go with them on that side. For the AFC, I this one was tough because I really don't know if the Jacksonville Jaguars are gonna make it. I really I want to believe it, but it's very difficult. I said before, the Chiefs that they are likely to be the only team out of the Patriots or the Steelers to make it. I do think the Patriots are the runaway, and so we go to the in between there between the Chiefs and the Patriots, and that's the Steelers. I think the
All right.
Steelers, who are really fun to watch offensively, and I know that they've had issues since Ryan Shazier went down defensively, but I think that they'll finally find a way to beat the goddamn Patriots, get rid of their sins, everything that they've ever had to deal with against the Patriots, beat them in Foxborough if that's the AFC Championship game. Maybe it's Chiefs versus Steelers, in which case the Steelers would wreck them. And I think the Steelers reach the Super Bowl, so I'm going Steelers Saints in that game. I don't think the Steelers are as I think the Steelers are a little bit. Honestly I think everyone in the AFC is a long shot as long as the Patriots are in it right now.
Yeah.
I just because I have I have a really dreaded feeling that we're gonna get the Patriots winning the Super Bowl again, and it likely could happen. But I think two teams could beat them, the Chiefs and Steelers, and I have more confidence in the Steelers right now than I do the Chiefs. So I'm going with the Steelers in that sense. So
All right.
yeah, that's our picks. Now, are you going to stick to those picks when you're doing your predictions?
Most likely, yes.
All right, cool. So you're gonna be committed. I think it might be easy for me to be committed with the Saints Steelers, but
Yeah.
who knows? Who knows at this point? All right, and with all that being said, 2 hour pod. There you go. I know we spent a
Yeah.
lot. I know we spent a lot of time on talking. The former the teams have been eliminated, but I think it's important to kind of give those guys a send off. Now, real quick, I think it's worth talking about this. We did picks all year round, and the final records for us is 166 to 90 for myself, 160 to 96 for you. So you cracked 160. The final point
I,
total. Go ahead.
honestly, like with this being my first time, I will gladly take 160
Correct picks.
guesses right. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's nothing to sneeze at. And 78 to 68 is the final point total, so I end up getting the victory for that. And so that closes out that portion. I guess, I mean, technically, you could close the gap with me still in terms of the pick records.
Yeah, that's not
Just saying.
postseason separate entity.
Yeah. Uh,
I do really well at the NFC, so let's see if my weird ass Panthers win pick gets right.
yeah, who knows?
Rams win it all. Fuck.
Yeah, no, hey.
It's
look,
gonna be Rams or Vikings, I think. But
yeah, I think Rams, Vikings. I think it's gonna be Patriots, Steelers, or maybe Chiefs. I don't know.
if Chiefs are on, they can do it.
No, yeah, for sure.
So my entire strategy depends on the Chiefs flipping their switch on.
Right. I think that you have a really good shot at it, and I think you have, and I think and going to the NFC real quick, that's a deep field. I genuinely think that's a deep field. I think there's some teams that are going to be on the outside looking in that could have won the Super Bowl this year with the talent that they had, for sure. Yeah, and like I think, or not at least win, at least like make it there. You know, I still am upset that the Chargers and Ravens missed it because I think they could have been,
Upsets.
they definitely could have pulled
Considered.
upsets. I think, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? We'll see. Maybe like I said, maybe the Jags, Titans, or Bills. Maybe they'll surprise us. Maybe they'll really. I mean, I think the Jags more than anyone, but the Titans and Bills, if they could go on a run for the ages, it'll be something that I'll remember for the rest of my life. It'll be really incredible, and I would look forward to that. Even after all the shit I gave Titans, I'll be on board if they can actually win some games.
Mm.
So, who knows? All right, that's that. That's our podcast. Put it in the books. Wild Card Weekend is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy 2 days, 4 amazing games. Let's hope this Wild Card Weekend is better than last year. Because last year was kind of a...
Last year, the closest game was Raiders-Texans, and even that was like a 13-point game.
That was ugly as shit. Let's hope for a close game. I'm rooting for it. I'm hoping for it. Let's do this. Anyways, guys.
Please let Cam Newton throw the ball right.
Please. Please. I think you have a lot of... I think we have a lot to look forward to. I think the visual weekend's going to be amazing.
Yep.
I really am looking forward to that. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Be good to one another. Be kind to one another.
Fuck Bama.
Oh, yes. That's right.
Fucking SEC championship. I'm so mad.
I'm very angry.
Fuck Bama. See you guys next time.
See you guys next time. Bye-bye.